Of course, this could all just be a grand diversion, and Trump could really be engaging in 15-dimensional backgammon here. But it looks like Jeff Sessions is, as a caller on the Rush Limbaugh show said, guileless, and this is a big problem. When Obama was president, he used the Justice Department and the IRS to go after his enemies. He prevented Border Patrol and ICE from cracking down on illegals. And in Obama's own words, he rewarded his friends and punished his enemies. This kind of banana republic, third world politics is the reality of the United States. If you want to follow the rules and be fair and prudent in the application of justice and law, well, that has to be done by both sides or it doesn't mean anything. If the other side isn't being fair and honorable, but you are, well, there's nothing principled about what you're doing because all you're doing is enabling their attacks on you because you're not hitting back. The real quote-unquote principle by which you're actually living by is they get to attack you, you don't get to attack them because you're stuck following the rules. Jeff Sessions, apparently because he has some who cares, who even remembers relationship with something Russia, decided to recuse himself from the Russia probe into Trump. Of course, this scored him precisely 0 points with the anti-Trump Russia loons. On the contrary, they used Jeff's act of good faith, his recusal, as evidence that there was something to this whole Russia meme. Because why would Jeff recuse himself if there wasn't anything to this?
My God, I shall cherish this forever. I say, Opie, I'll trade you this baseball for your souvenir bat.
Sure.
What did you learn?
But maybe his goal wasn't to curry favor with the opposition. Maybe his goal was to just follow the law. But again, then we're back at making acts of good faith when the opposition neither reciprocates nor rewards such acts. And if Sessions doesn't see it in these terms, then he doesn't understand the nature of the fight that he's in. But the whole idea of a special counsel is crazy for two key reasons. First, it adds credibility to these Russia collusion charges that are based on literally nothing. There's nothing to it. The legacy media that's pushing this crap has a tanked reputation, and the general public is not interested in any of this. There's zero evidence that the Russians hacked any of the actual vote counting, so by hack, they now have to claim that the Russians hacked the DNC and leaked damaging info of Clinton to the public. First off, even if this were true, so what? But second off, we know that the Podesta emails were leaked from a phishing attack, not a Russian hack. And there is overwhelming circumstantial evidence that the DNC leaks came from Seth Rich, who was later assassinated.
Whistleblowers go to significant efforts to get us material and often very significant risks. As a 27-year-old works for the DNC, who was shot in the back, murdered just 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. So
that was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it?
No, there's no finding. So
what are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks, and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then?
And so prior to Sessions recusing himself and the appointment of this special counsel, the whole Russia thing was literally just a Democrat Party talking point, which could easily be countered because we know where the DNC and Podesta leaks actually came from. But by appointing this special counsel, well, now the Russia loons can have something to point to. They can say, well, if there's nothing to it, why is there a special counsel investigating Trump's ties to Russia? And why did Trump's own attorney general recuse himself on this? Okay. And the fact that it's a special counsel in Trump's own administration, well, now that makes it extra serious and lends even more credibility to these deeply troubling charges about collusion with Russia. But in addition, this special counsel has no limit in scope. They can investigate anything they claim is relevant to the Russia collusion. They can investigate any aspect of Trump's businesses over Trump's entire life, and so long as Mueller claims that it's relevant to the Russia investigation, he can investigate it. Mueller gets to define the scope. He is judge, jury, and executioner and all of this stuff. And now the Democrats can say that Trump is, quote unquote, under investigation for colluding with the Russians, right? They get to run around saying, this president is under investigation by the FBI. But remember, working with or colluding, if you want to make it sound more sinister, with the Russians isn't even illegal. And so the investigation we have is over a zero evidence charge of Trump doing something that isn't even illegal. Okay, all thanks to Jeff Sessions' incompetence. And of course, Mueller, who's running this investigation, he is total swamp. He was nominated as FBI director by George Bush. He helped assemble the fake intelligence that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction that led to the Iraq War. Right? And there's also people who talk about him that he supported mass surveillance under both Bush and Obama, including the warrantless assassinations, the drone assassinations of U.S. citizens. But the point here is not to tell you what you should think about all of those things. The point is that Mueller has been in D.C. since 1990 and has been doing the establishment's bidding since 1990. And now this man, who Trump never appointed to anything and was never voted into anything, now has unlimited scope to investigate Donald Trump, all thanks to Jeff Sessions. But even more galling is that Sessions has refused to go after Hillary. And this is really the rub of his incompetence, okay? Donald Trump, after he won the election, said out of magnanimity that he wouldn't go after Hillary. Which, we all look at that and go, okay, that's cute, but Trump's just the president. Trump doesn't go after anybody. The attorney general goes after people, okay? So Trump saying that he wasn't going to go after Hillary, whatever. That doesn't mean that the attorney general couldn't go after Hillary on his own accord. But Jeff Sessions, again, is, of course, guileless. Okay? He heard Trump say that he wasn't going after Hillary, and so I guess Sessions thought that Trump didn't want him to go after Hillary. Okay? Sessions doesn't understand that Trump was only saying he wouldn't go after Hillary so as to not appear vindictive. Okay? Remember, Obama himself said that he wasn't going to stay the hand of the DOJ going after Hillary, yet he obviously did. Obama never claimed that he was going to target the IRS, but he obviously did because his attorney general had some guile and understood what needed to actually be done. Okay? So, but seriously, Jeff, go after Hillary or go away. All these conservatives for all this time were saying that Hillary was crooked and belonged in prison and was being protected by Obama and this whole James Comey kabuki theater, okay? And all the Democrats were saying that this is a witch hunt and it was just designed to cost Hillary the election. Well, guess what? Now that Trump's president, if Hillary doesn't end up behind bars, then the historical verdict is going to be that Hillary was clean. And all those who worked to expose Hillary, they were just partisan hacks engaged in a partisan witch hunt, right? And they're going to relate it to McCarthyism, okay? Another historical fraud. The DC establishment wants Trump gone, and they are using every dirty trick they have to try to stop Trump from accomplishing anything. Trump doesn't have Congress or the judiciary, okay? They're all full of DC hacks who want insane things for God knows why. Like, literally, the only consistent thing about the things that the DC establishment wants is that it's all bad, okay? Like, forcing poor people to buy insurance they can't afford, okay? All these insane wars off in nowhere, who cares land, that accomplish nothing, okay, that don't even capture and hold territory, that don't even take oil or anything. Like, there's literally nothing, okay? And, of course, Republicans wanting to open the borders and refusing to enforce immigration and not being on board of building a wall that would keep out all these people who vote against them. Like, it's literally crazy. Like, the only consistent thing about establishment policies is that they all suck, okay? That's like the only thing that ties them together. Now, instead of fighting back against these people, Sessions has been their biggest enabler. Okay? Sessions is responsible for the special counsel, a special counsel led by a career establishment hack that is on the warpath to find something to impeach Trump over. And now, if Trump orders the special counsel to be disbanded, right, he can legally do that, but that will then be used against him as evidence that Mueller was onto something and that there's something to all of this. Okay? None of this would even be happening if Sessions wasn't such a fucking autistic Boy Scout. He is completely at sea in terms of what's going on here. The establishment is out to destroy Trump in any way possible. The Department of Justice is Trump's bulwark against all of that. It is literally the front line of hitting back against the enemy, and that includes all the Democrats and about half of the Republicans. And the job of the Attorney General is to do as much permanent damage to the establishment as possible while Trump is still the president. And what Trump has is a Justice Department. Okay? Start expanding that Justice Department, start lawyering up, and start adding in like hundreds of new lawyers, and start just going after the bad guys. Just start suing and suing and suing. Sue the media outlets. Get them on anything you can find. Sue them and tie them up in court, right? Bankrupt them in court. Investigate literally every member of Congress and put as many of them in prison as you can. Audit every opposition political group and grant pardons to all of your allies. Grant whatever tax exemptions you can get away with to your friends, and rigidly apply the tax code to your enemies and make them prove any deductions. Okay, seriously, this is a brutal banana republic fight against an enemy that doesn't care about rules or fair play. And Sessions, while he has the right nominal positions on immigration and voting rights, he doesn't understand the nature of the struggle that he's in. Someone who is hard on immigration and voter ID, okay, seems like someone who is aware of the real fight, right? Because, brown immigrants means Democrat voters. If you block brown immigration, then you block these enemy voters, right? That's how you need to see these people. They're enemy voters. They're enemy voters who vote for the Gibbs Meatats, or the Gibbs for short, and they vote for their free shit at the expense of whites, okay? Now, voter ID has a mild disparate impact against non-whites because, it's something you have to do. It's just a little hurdle to get to voting. And given that non-whites are slightly less competent than whites at getting through these hurdles, voter ID disparately impacts non-white voting. But the real important thing about voter ID, the real big effect, comes from massively depressing illegal voting. All this helps Republicans. That's why it should be done. Most people who support these laws understand this, and they understand that this is the real reason you want to A, limit immigration, and B, have voter ID. Right? Because you want to punch back against these enemy voters who want to turn the United States into some hybrid of Mexico and Angola. But with Sessions, I'm thinking he was literally like one of the 5 people who supports these laws for purely conventional rule of law reasons, and that's not just a front for him. He's actually stupid enough to really support all this stuff on the basis of it's the law. Okay, this, in addition to Sessions' early support for Trump, his positions on these things, combined with his early support for Trump, what this did is it created the illusion that Jeff Sessions was a real fighter who understood the nature of the battle that we are in. Sessions bending to Congress and bending to the media over this Russia crap has shattered that illusion. Sessions has turned out to be a naive Boy Scout who is being used by an unscrupulous enemy to harm Trump.